We just attempted our very first engine rebuild in a Harbor Freight parking lot on a cross-country road trip on our way to the biggest off-road party on Earth. The goal? Be the first people to drive a motorhome up the legendary Chocolate Thunder. But instead, our inexperience caught up with us. Shortcuts were taken, mistakes were made, and our freshly rebuilt engine did not survive the mission. So today, we're figuring out exactly what went wrong. This time, with a 25-year veteran engine builder at LC Engineering, to find out just how bad we messed this thing up. Was it salvageable? Did we destroy it? Or did we somehow get lucky?
Today, we're gonna find out what went wrong with our parking lot engine rebuild by pulling this thing back out, tearing it down completely to a bare block yet again, and talking to some professionals and seeing what we could have done better, what we'll do better next time, and how the professionals here at LC Engineering do such a good job rebuilding these 22Rs and 22REs. So, ready to tear this thing apart again?
Yep.
Back to work. All right, cool. Let's get tools out.
They're all over there.
Cool. So if you're new here, we just got done rebuilding this 22RE in a Harbor Freight parking lot on our way to King of the Hammers, which is basically known for being the biggest off-road party and the gnarliest off-road race in the world. And unfortunately, it didn't quite work out as planned.
Goodbye, accessories.
So the reason that we rebuilt this engine in a Harbor Freight parking lot is because we built this truck in 2 weeks. It's kind of our 2-week build challenge. It was really fun. It was awesome. But we used a very questionable engine, and cylinder 4 was seized to the cylinder wall before we started, and it was very sad by the time we were leaving for Hammers. So without much time and with absolutely no parts, we drove all the way to here, Havasu City, and rebuilt it on a Sunday in Harbor Freight's parking lot. Sun is a little rough still, but at least it's not sand and sun, yes.
Yeah. So when we built this truck the first time, I got a ratcheting wrench stuck on this bolt, so I learned my lesson.
Yes, he did.
Hit the ground. Yep. I'm taking the radiator right now. You know that
Yeah, it's rusty. The whole block was super rusty. Can't be outside the man, the myth, the legend LC Engineering without a proper LCE race shirt, especially for our LC race car. No, it's not a race car. Close enough. All right. All right, now that the engine's out, we have to pull the clutch off. Again, we just put this on, but you got to pull the clutch off to get the engine on a stand. So get the clutch pulled off. Still looking exactly like it was because we haven't used it one bit. Get the flywheel pulled off. Oh, apart, but that's weird. All right, so now engine stand bolts on. Did we put the head gasket on backwards? Oh my God, dude, we put the head gasket on backwards.
No way.
Wait, bro. Okay, that explains the oil leak. Yes, sir-y. Oh no. So see this right here? That's for an oil passage right here. And see the lack of gasket right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Idiots.
idiots.
Parking lot stuff.
Parking lot stuff, my friend. All right, keep going. And just like that, we have an engine on a stand.
Patrick, what's going on?
How you
Good
doing,
morning.
Steve?
Good
Morning. All right, so let's take a quick tour around the LC. You showed me, but we need to show the people. So let's
do it. We'll go this way.
This way.
You good?
Okay, sweet.
All right, we have our sales department here. These guys are here. We got Tucker.
Okay.
Trevor sits here typically.
All
and
right.
we all know Brian out of Colorado
Yeah, Brian
is
moved.
on the horn up there.
Yeah, sweet.
These guys are really busting ass every day. They're handling about, 100, 150 calls a day.
Wow.
Sometimes upwards of 40,000 calls a year.
So if you call LC Engineer, you're going to talk to one of these guys here in the front.
You're talking to one of the guys, you're getting tech answers, you're getting sales
I
answers.
saw him driving a Toyota. I know Trevor drives a Toyota.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys are Toyota guys ready to answer your Toyota
A
questions.
lot of guys, a lot of experience, and a lot of knowledge.
That's awesome.
We have a great accounting department. We got Kim and Jen running numbers, running bills, taking care of all the important stuff in the background.
Okay, sweet. So these guys are making sure that LC Engineering isn't just giving guys like me a bunch of discounts.
That's right. Marketing, social media, photography, editing, rendering, whatever you want to say, he does. He
Anything
does a good
but
job.
talking to the camera. Charles is here for.
So as you know, we've recently acquired GaugePods.com.
Okay, that's awesome.
So this is where we run our Gauge Pods business. We do our vacuum forming.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool thing. You know, we do hundreds of these a year, so we're
So
excited.
if you need a set of A-pillar pods for your Toyota pickup, not only can you buy them from LC, but now they're filled through LC.
Manufactured,
That's pretty
built,
cool. That's pretty cool.
painted, ready to go.
Add that to the list of things you manufacture in-house.
And not just Toyota.
I know, they do all
not
sorts of
just
stuff.
Toyota.
RX-8s? RX-7s?
RX-8 right here. RX-8 dash panel
that's
right
pretty
there.
cool.
Pretty rad stuff.
That is super cool.
Stuff. Obviously, our warehouse, as you know, we carry everything from gaskets to turbo kits to exhaust systems to headers to clutch systems.
Holy smokes, look at this.
Roughly-
OEM Toyota parts. Right on the shelf. I actually need this.
Roughly about 1,500 parts probably on the shelves here, ready to go.
And then coming here, my favorite part of LC, if I do say so myself.
This is where some of the magic happens, obviously. So a lot of assembly, quality control, final head work is done in here. Yeah, just everything from crank balancing, from turbo
You guys, I saw you assembling rods back here. You guys
Rod
manufacture
assembly.
your own rods.
We manufacture our own rods.
That's
we
super
own our own
cool.
rods.
That's awesome.
We rebuild stock factory ones when we
So
need
this
to.
is kind of where like the rods, the cylinder heads, and kind of not the actual building goes by.
No, not the
Because-
actual build. So this is our engine clean room. It's where we build 2 to 4 engines a week. As you can see, we have 4 engines lined up.
Got 3RZ, 22R, 22RE, 22RE. My favorite one so far. This is a 1GR they're building for Fire Guides Racing. I know I'm taking over, but it's just so
That's
freaking
good.
cool to see the 1GR built for boost. This thing is absolutely insane. It looks awesome. It looks brand new. You never see that of a 1GR. So a lot of people, I've seen it in the past, they don't use these. What are these? What is this?
It's now I forgot the name.
Torque
Bolster plate, torque plate. There's a lot.
Torque
of
plate, okay. And what's it do?
Well, it kind of simulates a cylinder head, so it's basically a head with just holes in it. Because when you tighten these bolts, it deforms the cylinder.
So if you machine it without that, it's gonna be a bad
It'll
time.
be round when you machine it, and then you bolt your cylinder head down, and it won't be round anymore.
And we're talking a thousandth of an inch, but when the oil clearance is just 1.5 to
Oh, yeah.
2 thousandths,
Yeah,
that's
like
half the clearance.
This will have forged piston, so it'll have more clearance. But a cast piston only has 1.7 to 2 thousandths.
Okay, yeah, so it's very crucial to do it the right way.
Well, like this will be nice and round when I'm done. As soon as I unbolt this, these won't be round anymore. But you put the head back on, and then it'll be round again.
Perfect. That's so cool to see.
And not a lot of, we just do this because it's extra nice. It's not really critical on this kind of an engine. Most people wouldn't use any of this on these kind of engines. You know, it's kind of only a race thing, but we do it for everything. We go on for the 3RZ, more for the 5E.
High standard.
They just want to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
And then
some of
my department, the actual building. It's a 1994 pickup, and that was the first year of pickup I had.
It's so clean. Custom bumper we built. Paint job's fresh. It came in really rough, you guys. I mean, this thing didn't run. Cat hair in the engine bay.
Well, this is a full-blown frame-off restoration that they did here in-house. It's really cool.
This particular one's for a military family.
Okay.
The guy, Chris Johnson, his son is in the military. He's deployed. His mom and him and the whole family had this truck. They drove it for a while, kind of forgot about it, and they wanted to do a favor for him and a special thing for him to bring it back to life.
Let's go check out the engine bay.
Yeah,
It is
check
so
out.
sick.
So it's got one of our street strokers and pretty much every upgrade you could possibly give it.
Okay.
It had a body lift when it came in. We took that out, put the ARB bumper on here, replaced just about anything we can. There's really nothing more I can do to this truck. It is ready to go. I've driven it. We've tested it. We're doing a couple finishing
Everything
touches
brand
on
new.
it. Everything brand new. This is a really cool special thing. that we did for the guy.
This is one of my favorite trucks.
So this truck's for a customer who I believe was in the military in the East Coast, Michigan area, I think.
Okay.
He bought it out there. He did his deployment in the military. He lives in Saipan or Guam. I'm not 100% sure. And he wanted a back truck to take back. And he brought us this pretty stock.
So we have a 300 horsepower, 22 RE street truck. We have a fully restored 4-wheel drive off-road truck. It really doesn't matter what you're doing here at LCE. They'll either sell and ship you the parts, manufacture the parts in-house, or build your truck for you. It's really cool. Thank you so much, Steve, for walking us around. This is absolutely awesome. All right, now that we have it out, we've graduated to inside the shop. So we brought our tools, we have the engine, we drained the oil, and now it's time to start disassembling, pull the head off. Listen to the very loud compressor because we're in the corner, and get this thing going.
This is Brian. Brian is LC Engineering's 25-year veteran engine builder and the man who is going to make sure that we do not mess this up a second time.
The pump is a 94 pump, or yeah, so it's a dual row pump, but I had to use the single row gear and cut it down because the single row gear has that extra, yeah.
You know what we should do is just pull the oil pump off first
Okay,
and see if the engine will turn.
it'll turn with about 100, it turns.
Okay, so it didn't turn as soon as the rods and pistons went in.
It just was sad turning.
Okay.
It was very tight. Like it'll turn.
I was gonna say,
It's just tight.
it's possible too sometimes without the stack up being right on the front.
That wasn't helping.
Okay,
I know that, but it was turning.
Okay.
And then with the starter,
connecting rods.
yeah. So it was, yeah, it's in the rods. I know it is. It was something that I knew was bad, but we were hoping that 5 pounds under torque for the rods would let it run through the weekend.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yes, sir. Okay. Hey, so this is probably the main thing we did wrong, other than not check clearances, is this is supposed to go here. So that's how the head gasket's supposed to go on.
You can tell by the way it is.
Yeah, the way also we blocked that passage with this.
That's
Yep.
the right way.
No, yeah, see how it's wrong just because the way it is, and then that way it's more right because the way it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's a lot.
All right, so we've loosened the rod that we believe is the finicky one. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot easier than it was. Definitely a mark on that crank, but it's not even close to fingernail.
Yeah, you're good on everything there.
Okay, so I put it all in right.
Yeah.
We just had a rogue bearing.
You have to measure it really to tell what is going on.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, these are all under torqued 4 foot-pounds.
Okay.
So I'm gonna torque those to spec,
Yeah.
and then we'll check again.
Check.
So if you missed that, which it might have been easy to, we more than likely have a bearing that went rogue. Like it came from the factory, just different size than the rest. Because I mean, if you watch the video, we pulled the bearings all out of the same pack of bearings. We just didn't plastic gauge or check anything. And when that happened, we did get a very small score on our crank here. Now it is enough to, it's not enough to feel with your finger, but if your finger is tuned very nicely, you can barely feel it. So we're gonna pull the crank, pull all the rods, get this back in the lathe and polish the crank one more time. They already did that before we put this all together, but just gonna do it again to make sure everything's perfect. I know I'm an idiot, but I can't believe they suspected me of mixing up all the main caps. Like, it's basically like one of the first things you learn about engine rebuilding is everything has a home and it all stays in that home. Is it with the rod? And now, there's no really need to pull those.
No, they're good.
So we'll just leave that in there. All right, so what we're doing now is we're just pulling the main bearings out of the block, and I'm just wiping down them as well as the surface that they are sitting in so that everything is nice and dry there, because you want the application of the main bearing to the block to be nice and dry, no oil in there. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean up, make sure there's nothing weird in there, and put it back where it came from after giving it a little brake clean bath. All right, so what we're doing now is we're gonna take all the pistons and rods into the engine machine room. We're going to measure them, comparing them to the crank, and make sure everything is good. So what are we doing here, and what did we necessarily not do wrong but not do right?
Well, basically all we're doing is checking bearing clearance. So we're gonna mic the crankshaft journal, and then we're gonna measure and see exactly what our bearing clearances are.
Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing for the mains, correct?
We'll do the same thing for the mains.
And this is just ensuring that every gap within this engine is perfect.
just to know. You either plastic gauge or this, we only use the measuring tools, but plastic gauge is fine too.
It's, yeah, from
It's
what I've
just
read,
a lot of guys, you know, that's all you've got, that's what you use, so.
Because how much is a set of mics? I mean, even a cheap set's still a couple $100 bucks, right?
Yeah, you're talking, I mean, basically the stuff we use in this room, probably over a couple $1,000s worth of stuff, so.
But it pays when you do this all day, every day.
I mean,
you want it to be perfect.
And we document everything, so it's like we know exactly down to the 10,000th of an inch what everything that we build has clearance-wise.
Clearances and tolerances everywhere. Okay, cool. Hello, this is us from the future, announcing that we broke a ton of stuff on this trip, including Alex's clutch. Something else that we found out was broken on this trip that turned out to be extremely dangerous for us were these freaking headlights. As you can see here, this clutch disc is done, and the clutch pressure plate has so many hot spots, it's actually crazy. But what makes it all better is we have fresh headlights and a fresh clutch now. So let's get these headlights installed. First things first, we gotta pop the hood. There it is. And as far as installing the Lasfits go, all you have to do is unplug the stock headlight, pull it out like so, and once the old headlight's out, you get your new headlight, and you simply twist it in, and you're done. And now we're gonna show you the difference between the Lasfit and the stock headlights. Dang, you can see the much better LED distribution on the left. And let's go to the high beams. Yeah, you can't even, like, these are supposed to be quality aftermarkets on the passenger side, and then you have Lasfits on the driver, and obviously there's a clear winner as to which one's better. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. For the passenger side, we're gonna have to pull the washer fluid bottle, but it'll only take a second. Pull the old stuff out, and get the new, much better stuff. Plug that in. Now that we have a fresh clutch and good headlights, let's take this thing for a test drive. Moment of truth. All right, clutch works. We are moving. All right, this is the first time we're seeing headlight action. Go for it. Shoo!
Whoa, clutch is touchy.
What do you think? This is your first time with good headlights.
Dude, I can see.
He can see. So we're now on a back road cruising, and the light pattern and the brightness of these low beams is perfect. It keeps the light pointed straight down and at the road without sacrificing your being able to see. So even though you're not blinding other drivers, your ability to see is enhanced so much. When you turn the brights on, it's basically like you have your own little light bar. How are you liking these headlights? Are they better?
They're way better.
Last one sucked?
They sucked.
And they were expensive, right?
Yep.
Cool. So now we're off-road where these lights can really shine and perform. They give you so much vision as far out as you can see. If none of this has sold you, I don't know what will. Support those who support the channel. Lasfit has been a long-time supporter of the channel, and for good reason. They sell really good lights at a very affordable price. We have them in our Tundra, the Corolla, Alex's truck. We have them in everything that we possibly can, and you should too. Use my code LAE20, save yourself a bag, get some awesome headlights. Now we're gonna get back to the shop and clean up our mess from doing this clutch, and we're gonna get back to this live action.
So those are torqued down, so what we'll do, I'll roll this out. Like the rods we have made undersized, and then we do the final hone to get them exactly where we want.
And you guys have your own rods, see that?
Yeah.
LC Engineering H-beam rods, and these are for a 22 RE?
Yeah, those are 22R.
All right.
This was a 1010, I believe. Okay,
So that's 10,000 that you're measuring to, right?
Yeah, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000.
So
yeah.
these are all within spec to 2 10,000ths.
2 10,000ths of an inch.
So 0.2 thousand.
Yeah.
That's pretty good,
So
I'd say.
Now what we'll do is,
Measure the inverse on the rods, right?
yeah, what I'll do is I'll set up my dial bore gauge now. Just need that guy right there. And even on these, we don't chuck them in a vise. They have like rubber in here, because if you actually clamp that too hard, it'll change
distort
it.
things.
So you're down to such a fine measurement that everything has
very
to
gentle.
be. Yeah. So this is the measurement of the crankshaft journal.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll take my dial bore gauge and I actually set it and I'll zero it. So now with that being 0, whatever I get on the actual journal is the clearance that I have. Right there we've got 2 thousandths of oil clearance in it.
How much do you want?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the one that was this year.
Factory spec will be like, Toyota, they can run them really tight. So they'll be like from a thou to a rod bearing will go up to 3 thou maximum.
Maximum.
Yeah. Either that one didn't get torqued or something is wrong. Okay. This is the wrong cap. You see the machine line right there?
Yeah.
Feel it with your finger.
Yeah, I can see it with your
So
eyeball.
this cap doesn't belong on that rod. So I bet you that's what we probably had, was rod caps possibly got mixed. This one's correct. You can feel the machine marks are all the same. And we've got 2 thou and 2 tenths. So that one's good.
Okay.
So this one's gonna be off too because that one's off. So yeah. So I'd say that's probably what ended up happening there.
Well, I'm sure in the video
That
there will
one
be
was
either
way too loose, so this one's probably gonna be
way too tight.
Yep, this one's -3.
So
now what we'll do,
lacking 3. You're gonna switch them out and see
we're
what
gonna
happens.
swap these caps and we'll see what happens.
Put them back in the vise.
Yeah, it's easy to do with a set of core rods like this because of the way they're stamped. So it's like,
that was my thing, is everything stays with its home and it will be a good time. So.
and I couldn't tell you that the way I handed them off to you was perfect either. I grabbed a set of core rods and threw them on the cart.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So it's
I
possible
get it. We gave you guys all of 12 hours notice.
So let's take this guy.
Does it look better?
Okay, so now you can
that just
see
looks,
that?
it looks, yeah. I guess now I'll always look for those machine marks now and make sure that.
When we redo the rods, actually grab a set, right, any of those boxes should have some. So after we're done redoing them, that's a set of stock rods. And if you look at the sides, the way we stamp them, so we'll
3-3.
only stamp them and we know that they're
4-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
So I totally messed you up by
1-1.
not just giving you a new set of rods.
Hey, it's okay. You know what, dude? I messed you guys up by throwing a wrench in your freaking thing at Friday. I said, hey, I got a great idea, you guys. I'm just gonna rebuild this on the way.
They actually make a special vise for doing rods, but we put aluminum jaws in this one just so it works. And 2 thou. So they're perfect.
So is all of this
So these are
was a
perfect.
mixed
A
up
mix up of
rod cap.
two rod caps. So now let's do the
Mains?
the mains. Okay, so let's take off these 3.
Okay.
And we'll put these 2 guys down and we'll torque those. Sometimes a blessing with engine stuff is when it just doesn't start. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Because
that was kind of the blessing here.
if this would have started, it would have been way, way different.
Top end and that one bearing looks like it would have, something was angry there.
Yeah.
And it would have scored the crank beyond and it'd be machined down and.
Yeah, it would have been a whole different deal. We'll get the crank polished back up, then we'll just start washing everything and we'll get it set up in here and we can put it back together.
Cool, it'll be a tomorrow thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll get everything cleaned up and ready.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. I'd say tonight, with whatever time, unless you guys are out, probably just start getting gaskets scraped off. All this stuff can come off.
Yep. Thank you,
All that
Brian.
Fun stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I've got gaskets and all that stuff for those.
All right, so moral of the story is make sure your head gasket's put on right, and make sure you keep all the caps to the rods and all your bearing caps and the main bearings all in the same spot. So I'm not sure as of right now, because I haven't reviewed the footage, if it was our fault or if it was just a fluke because we rushed them and asked for stuff they weren't even willing to sell. But the 2 rod caps got mixed up, so we had an extra loose rod and we had an extra tight rod. We're talking 5 thousandths of an inch is what the discrepancy was, which is basically nothing. It's not even something you can see with the human eye, but it's enough to make some serious issues with this. So right now we're scraping all the gaskets off of the block because we put a bunch of gasket maker on the block, scraping off all the accessories. We're going to clean everything up, and they are going to polish the crank. When the crank is polished and everything is good to go, we'll start the reassembly with help from Brian this time to make sure everything is absolutely perfect. We'll get the cylinder head back on, the rods, pistons, bearings, everything back together. And we're gonna get this thing installed in the Chinook, and we're gonna take this thing wheeling in Havasu since we didn't get to take it wheeling in Johnson Valley. So for today, we're cleaning up, and tomorrow we will start the assembly process, which will be cool to do it in a shop, and it'll also be cool to finally hear this thing run. Yeah. And it's gonna run good. It's gonna be firing on all 4. It's got a pro head, I think. It's a good one. She's gonna breathe. She's gonna run, she's gonna drive, and maybe we'll even take some time to clean up some of the engine bay nightmare that we have in there while everything's parked. Yep. So, till tomorrow. So we ended yesterday handing off the crankshaft to the machinist to get repolished. We're gonna get this block completely torn down, and we're actually going to re-wash the block. And by re-wash the block, we're gonna take every accessory off, put this thing in the hot tank, and get it looking brand new again. And then once all that's done, we'll go ahead and start the reassembly process. Unfortunately, we weren't here when they polished the crankshaft, so I can't show you that. Maybe they'll do another one later today. I do not know. I'm sorry, we missed that. We'll get this thing torn down, get the oil filter off, the oil filter adapter to run our oil pressure sensor from Just Race Parts, and the motor mount, fuel filter mount. And I think that's just about it. Main caps. Looks squeaky clean. All right, that's fine. So now we're gonna get these rods and pistons ready to get washed as well. Sweet, now we can really clean out the cylinder head. Well, it's not like, there's just some crap in here. I don't know if he's gonna wanna wash this too or what. Now we are allowed access into the engine assembly room, which is kind of awesome. So what we're doing now is we're getting every little piece of the engine, we're gonna clean it off, get all the crap off of it, set it on this cart really nice and get it ready to go into the engine assembly room. It's exciting. We're gonna go assemble an engine with the professionals. We're no longer just a couple of idiots in a Harbor Freight parking lot. So what you're doing here is just ensuring that the water doesn't etch the cylinder walls, right? With rust, flash rust, basically?
Exactly.
Okay.
When they're honed, they go real quick.
Because it opens up all the pores. And
so it's such a smooth surface that it doesn't take much at all.
So if you didn't
I
know.
just kind of hit it like that, now I can go ahead and dry the rest of it off.
Cool. Now you know. If you already have honed cylinders, you want to make sure you get that thing dialed in very quickly. So this is that oil galley that I had left open.
That's the oil drain back.
Oil drain. Okay, so that's
what,
on the other side.
Having the head gasket on that way, what it does is it closes off this right here.
That's the oil feed.
So this is what feeds oil to the head.
Got it. Yeah, I did notice see that round where the gasket was, and then that's where it should have been.
And what it does is the way it's channeled like that, so it actually goes up through the rocker, through like next to the bolt.
Okay.
It feeds the shaft, and then the shaft transfers over, feeds the other shaft.
Okay.
That's the only thing that feeds the rocker. So that's
that one oil galley.
That one oil galley feeds the whole.
So to a normal guy, it seems like we're cleaning off nothing. But to an engine builder, we're cleaning off a whole bunch of crap that isn't perfect. So just shows you how much time and care goes into the professionals here at LCE when they build an engine. Because what I would consider extremely clean, he considers extremely dirty. We're gonna make sure that it's perfect.
One thing I noticed right on the edge where it looks like it was, you know, definitely not happy going through there. So
is that the one that's got the score mark on it? Okay, okay. I want one of these, but I'm scared of what to do with all that crap. Like they use theirs so often that it makes sense. For me, I'm not sure I use it often enough for delegate. They have like a whole clean room. It's amazing. I just don't have this much space. Just touching it up. No, I don't blame you. So yeah, in the parking lot, I did bring a file.
Okay.
That's better than the file I had. The file I had wasn't quite as fine as that.
Yeah, just a little stone.
Yep. Because yeah, the factory, they can't just have just a little bit of a sharp edge.
Especially if you have to file them at all.
Yeah.
And fit them, then
Yep.
it's gonna have
Then
a
they
sharp
definitely
edge.
will have a sharp edge. Yeah. But these, the ring gap was, like I said, just barely over spec. So. The one that says up.
Yeah, you can always tell the top ring is always going to have a chrome face on it.
Okay, cool.
Because a lot of times the rings will be exactly the
Yeah, they looked very close. I was scared because we put them all in a pile, but then I realized the second one said up.
And on the Hastings, like different rings are all different. They'll either be marked, they'll have a dot or something, which you're probably aware of. And the Hastings top has nothing, and it doesn't matter which way they go.
Right, okay, so the top ring has nothing, and it doesn't matter.
Not always, but on this particular.
Got it.
I spend quite a bit of time on the pistons usually, out of the box, and I'll actually deburr that sharp edge that's on them.
Okay.
Every once in a while you get something that'll stick out.
With something like a emery cloth or Scotch Brite or?
We have a soft wheel that I use, but
cool.
like at home, whatever you could use, even a
small file.
Small file or something, and just
a fine tooth file though. You want to make sure it's not leaving jagged edges.
Just the casting and they.
So what Brian has already done is he's lickety split. He has put all the bearings back in all these rods. So the rod bearings are back where they go in their respective homes. Everything has been deburred. He deburred the pistons. He deburred the rings. He just made sure everything was absolutely perfect. Touched everything. We touched 2 or 3 times more just to make sure it's absolutely dialed. The quality control here is actually insane. They run all these engines. They make sure everything is perfect. Every single piece gets machined. Even if it comes to them machined, they remachine it. The wrist pin cavity and the bearing cavity all get machined. The blocks cylinder walls get bored or honed out. Everything is touched and everything is made sure to be perfect. So once all that is done, we'll have the rod and piston assembly back together and we'll start assembling it into the block with the crank and the crankshaft, which had a very small, but it was something. It had a small mark on this number 4 rod seat, I don't know what to call that, is completely gone. That has now been fixed, it's sorted out, and no more. It's a very perfect crankshaft again. Get to take this kind of attention to detail and didn't have the tools to make it this right, so pretty rad.
It was the expander right there, just like you have it. The bottom rail will be there. The top rail is going to be just opposite of the bottom.
Okay.
So there and there.
Cool.
And then your second ring is going to line up with the expander. There.
Okay, so I had it. There's a little picture online that I followed that was basically that.
That's how the Toyota manual is.
Cool.
Engine,
Yep.
bottom oil, top oil, expander, compression ring, top.
And then the rods and the pistons, they orient together, right?
Yeah,
With
this little knot right here.
Yep. Cool.
That's
I did it right then.
Yep.
Sweet. And then that's good to go now.
Yep.
And then if it moves a little bit on install, you don't really worry about it.
It's not.
They're all,
Yeah. I check them one more time as I'm loading it into the ring compressor and then.
Okay, cool.
Just let it rip. What you want to do is start with the thrust bearing. So the only main cap you're really going to put on is a thrust cap, and you don't want to tighten it down all the way yet. So you want to set the thrust bearing, and then you'll tighten that down, measure your end play, and then you can finish it.
Okay, so you want to just do all the bearings on the block.
Yep, all the bearings.
Only cap would be this thrust cap.
Yeah, with the thrust bearings, and we'll get all that set.
And then we'll measure the front and back. Cool. I didn't do any of that in the parking lot, I'll tell you right. All right, so now plenty of lubricant all over our bearings. I don't remember which one's which.
Another one, I just had a guy not too long ago thrust bearings in backwards, and that will cook a crank so fast.
Right, I read the instructions on the internet on how to do that because I've never done this.
So the grooves have to face the
Grooves out so they're oiled,
crankshaft.
right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, I think there it was. Thrust bearing. Friction.
Seated.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the opposite of what I would have done.
You're right.
4.5. Ooh, it's 5, closer to 5 than 4.
4.5.
Yeah, about 4.5.
So if you have oil in there, you won't get a good reading on that.
Because it takes up space.
And if you don't have a dial indicator, you can do the same thing with the feeler gauge, and you just load it.
Okay, yeah, and put the feeler gauge.
So the main thing is you gotta have some in there. Race engines, I'll actually grind the bearings and get more.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause
What's that do?
What you want is, you want the oil to get through the bearing and back to the oil pan.
As fast as possible?
Yeah. But
Okay.
it's gotta lubricate it, and another thing is like with performance clutches and stuff. And
They have heavy weights on them.
So you wanna get that oil in between it.
Got it.
I just kinda work it, then I'll spin it over and do it one more time.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's oiled. Oh yeah, this isn't what it is. We spin. I'll tell you.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, number 4. Lock that thing up real quick. That's it. I'm not even gonna say that was us, but I'm definitely not gonna blame them. Okay. Oh, how nice! Wow. All right, a bunch of oil all over everything. And then you put it on both the front and back, I noticed, where it's gonna be touching the crank. It's not lined up with that one. And then you put this over the bottom, and you start kind of working them in there. Oh, so is this tapered? Oh! I was wondering why it went in so easy. Okay, that makes way more sense. And this is 2, so it goes in the 3rd hole. Just like so.
Oh.
This thing's awesome.
Yeah.
If I ever rebuild an engine, I'm buying one of these.
Yeah.
A little bit of assembly lube, dude. I'm way less scared now, dude. This man's just like... So in the parking lot, we had to put a dual row timing chain kit in, because that's what we had, because that's what we had the cover for. We had a single row timing chain oil pump gear, and you can see they're different. This one was actually about 3/8 of an inch longer. We had to cut it down in the parking lot because the crank pulley wouldn't even sit anywhere close to where it needed to be. So much better. Want to do the same thing. It's kind of, don't do your oil change before, run it 5 minutes and then do your oil change. you heard, is there any justification to packing the oil pump full of grease before you put them on?
Absolutely not.
No, don't do that.
Grease doesn't break down with oil.
Okay. So what about assembly lube? Is that what people...
You don't have to, just like coat the surfaces.
But dry.
And that's it.
Okay. Grease in the oil pump. I was like, I don't know about that, man. There was no grease in the oil pump when I got it from LCE, so I'm not doing that. Answer solved. You're not wrong, you're just not right. All right, this is my redemption moment right here, folks. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Blue goes down. You know, you'd assume it goes up, but it goes down, and that goes just like so. Hole, oil hole. Look, those are your oil holes. You want those to be seen.
Wait, it's wrong.
No, it's not, dude. That's a lot of engines. Wow. Almost like this guy does this every day for a living. And it shows. I'm not saying it's hard to do, but this man sure made it easy. The moment. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. That was hard. All right, just like that, we have a Patrick helped Brian build 22RE. Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest. Brian did like 95% of this, but I learned a whole lot. I did a lot right. We did a lot right, actually. There was very little we did wrong. There was a bunch of stuff we forgot, which I guess is doing stuff wrong. It is now Wednesday. We've been here a few days. What I thought would be a down and dirty rebuild turned into a full-blown, absolutely amazing rebuild, all thanks to the boys here at LC Engineering. And what we're doing today is putting all our painted bracketry for fuel filter, bracket. We have all sorts of stuff, hooks, everything is going back on. And before you know it, we'll be dropping this thing in the Chinook and taking it for a test trip. I'm really excited to see what happens. And yeah, we're about there, boys. This is gonna be awesome. So just to recap, things that we did wrong with the engine rebuild. We did not put in a bunch of oil plugs. We had the head gasket on backwards. Rod caps were mixed up. We did not do certain order of operations. We never checked the thrust clearances. There was quite a few things that we didn't do right or forgot to do altogether. But it's really cool to be here at LC Engineering and see the process and be reminded, while it is a relatively simple thing to do, if you're not following every single instruction, if you're not doing everything perfectly right, you're probably not gonna get the longevity that you really want out of your engine. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it by yourself, but if there's any question, you should probably hit a professional up and have it done, especially those boys at LC, because they take pride in their work. Look at this beautiful thing, dude. I know we're gonna have to go back and we're gonna deal with the intake situation, but I wanna do it right. We don't have necessarily the time to do it right here, but the engine is assembled. We have hardware that looks fantastic. We painted everything. It looks rad. I'm super pumped with how this came out. It's a lot better than we would have ever done by ourselves in the parking lot. So this is super awesome. I'm super grateful to have the help here at LC Engineering and the guidance to show us how to do this right. And we're gonna be able to take all this knowledge moving forward, and I'm probably not gonna be near as scared rebuilding my first ever engine rebuild. This is the second ever engine rebuild on the same first engine. I'll get the throttle linkage switched over. Okay. You want the whole thing? You're just gonna bring us back a throttle body that's dialed in? We're trying to work here, but the guys at LC are like, no, these
We're
idiots,
not allowed to do anything
they're
over
not
here.
qualified.
Don't talk about my friend like that.
We can install the clutch. And I bet they even have an alignment tool here. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, and if you guys are interested in hanging out with us and seeing the boys at LCE, we're gonna be at Toyota Fest SoCal. I think it is May 30th. We'll more than likely have the Chinook there and our Toyota camper, our Tundra with the custom Bison camper on it. So if you want to come hang out, get some stickers, hang out with the boys here at LCE, hang out with us, come check it out. It's a really fun event. We go basically every year now. We've gone once 2 years ago and we'll never not go again. That's kind of how it goes. We go to these cool events and we just get hooked. So. All right, let's get this in. All the extra asbestos from clutches. All right, so what we have here are our Just Race parts gauges. Now these gauges are absolutely sick. We've been meaning to install them in here for a long time, but we're finally getting around to it because we have some time and we're doing things right here. One of these is an oil pressure sensor gauge, which that's nothing crazy special, right? The other one is a coolant temperature, a coolant pressure, and a coolant level sensor. So your coolant level is obviously crucial because if you have low coolant, it can lead to problems. Coolant pressure is crucial because if you have low coolant pressure, that indicates a leak in your system, which could lead to catastrophic failure like head gasket or anything like that. And since we have this brand new engine in here, we want to make sure everything's dialed. And then the coolant pressure sensor, if it's high or low, that means high pressure, obviously you may have combustion coming from the combustion chamber into your coolant pressure sensor, or you could just actually have a small leak letting air into the system and letting it boil. The low pressure also indicates a leak or something problematic. So whatever the case may be, your cooling system is completely dialed and they're interlinkable. So we only have to wire one of these gauges up and we just wire a link wire between the two. And now when we hook up the power, which we're gonna do right now, both of them fire up and they're both ready to read. So we're gonna go ahead and get all of the sensors in here. And I'm actually super excited for this because we're gonna wheel the heck out of this thing and it's gonna be nice to be rest assured that our engine is good, because we spent a lot of time and effort and now money on this engine. Let's get her done right. So thank you, Just Race Parts, for these gauges. I'm excited to get these in all of our rigs. We have a bunch of rigs that need gauges, and these guys are honestly changing the game. And they're from Australia, and you know the good stuff's from Australia. So let's get these things wired up and mounted. Action, dude.
Too far gone.
These pulleys, dude.
You know what, dude? Yeah, yep. We're adding the oil. Here you go, Steve. All right, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen.
Does it have a thermostat in it?
Hey, that starter sounds a whole lot better.
Yeah, it does.
Hold on.
What?
Something's leaking.
Yeah, I have a line. Where it is right now, I don't know. Where is it?
So
This is it right here. It's just plugged in right here for some reason. Oh, baby!
Yes!
Nice. We have 65 PSI of oil pressure. She's pumping oil, boys. Sounds so good. This is the best this thing's ever sounded, dude. It sounds so freaking good. Scooting. Dude, this thing is fast compared to what it used to be. I did not expect it to move out like that. And we're talking 22-hour E-Fast, okay? All you 1,000 horsepower V8 guys, keep your mouth shut. We're Toyota nerds, and this thing scoots for a 22R. First drive, dude.
Not bolted.
We gotta get this thing all completely dialed in. Yeah, I know. Private places. This is the first time we've got to wheel this thing with a 4.7 T case, so it actually has power via gears, and then engine power.
Oh yeah.
Via a healthy engine. Like just alone on the highway, this thing will just cruise in third, like from 0 RPM uphill, it feels like. Like it just has the torque, has the power. It's a fully rebuilt engine with all of the power, which is super sick. And then you put it in 4.7 to 1 reduction in the low T case. We were in second going up that, and we were just like cruising.
It.
Yeah, so obviously dual cases would still be good for crawling, but as far as out here, this thing has ample power. We just climbed a pretty gnarly hill climb that would be hard in most stock SUVs. I'd say like if you don't have a locker, you're probably not gonna make it up that. And the Chinook just walked it. Yeah, and also the gauges are reading mint, so the Just Race Parts gauges are awesome. We have oil pressure, we have coolant temp, coolant pressure, and coolant level. Everything's looking good. So weird to not have this thing smell like oil and coolant. It was so stinky all at Moab.
The only thing we get is a little bit of heat through the trans tunnel, but that's it.
Yeah, you'll have that when the transmission tunnel's just wide open. So, all right, let's go over there and wheel this thing. How crazy, dude. Woo, that feels weird. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It was steep, dude. It didn't feel that steep coming up.
She's healthy, boys. She sounds and feels absolutely amazing. Was that cool? Yeah. This is gonna be rowdy. We need a cage. We need better shocks. We need a little tighter springs, just like a little bit. We need to set bump stops. We have a laundry list, but it's looking sick. All right, just like that. Chinook is an absolute ripper. Engine is rebuilt. We didn't hit Chocolate Thunder, but there's always next year. And I'm so invested and involved, and I love this thing so much that you can expect we are not even close to done with the build. I'm thinking 37s. I'm thinking dual cases. I'm thinking roll cage. I'm thinking at least 1 row of back seats, maybe 2. We're gonna make this thing a dang school bus for rock crawling and off-roading. I don't know what else I would do with it.
First things first, we need to clean up that engine bay.
I know, we'll get to that very soon. We need some headers. We need a couple other mods just to make everything look beautiful like the engine looks now. And yeah, a roll cage, because we're gonna take this thing some serious rock crawling. You guys wanna see this thing in person, we're gonna be Easter Jeep Safari, Matt's Off-Road Games. Both of those are coming up in March. So the Off-Road Games is the 19th to the 21st of March, and Easter Jeep Safari, I'm thinking we're gonna be out there like the 29th to TBD. I don't know, like 29th to the 1st or 2nd. I'm not sure exactly how long we'll be out there. But we're gonna be at both of these events with the Chinook, hopefully with a roll cage, with real seats with harnesses from Corbo, and of course a back seat with some freaking harnesses and stuff so we can take people on rides. Maybe not you guys, but at least my friends. Anyway, till next time, thank you so much for LC Engineering having us and hosting us and having us build a super bad to the bone truck with them. And yeah, can't thank everyone enough for watching these videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, and of course Alex for being here and helping out. So till next time, guys, we'll see you later. Peace.